And hello, welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zack and Alex here, back with you to talk about NASCAR at Homestead Miami Speedway. IndyCar was at Thermal Club.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that happened.
Well, there were some positive things to take away from the race. Among them negatives. There were, Alex. We'll talk about it.
I don't know about all that.
F1 was at Shanghai. We're talking about that like a little bit, aren't we? Maybe. I don't know.
Bit.
There wasn't much to talk about. I don't even think I watched the actual Grand Prix or the sprint.
It was in the middle of the night.
Yeah. I watched the beginning because I did stay up really late, whatever night that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, a pretty good weekend of racing. Homestead, which we're going to start with NASCAR. I think it is my favorite track on the schedule in terms of it's not only just the racing, but the vibes too. Like, it's in Miami. The track does an amazing job with the colors. Like, they add pink and that Miami blue in the infield, and the flag stands pink. The walls are blue. I appreciate it as an artist. I just appreciate that detail, and the racing is top notch to add to
all of the NASCAR owned tracks have had a rebrand in the last few years. Homestead's my favorite because they added in that pink. It's really cool.
The logo's amazing. I wish other tracks like Kansas, because they got that blue and the yellow and the green, what they use that more at that racetrack. Richmond has the red and blue. I don't know if they used much of it in the track. Like, add more colors to your racetracks, kind of like F1 tracks do that. Get the colors. Anyways, that was a whole spiel about art and tracks and colors and pretty colors. The real topic for Homestead was Kyle Larson, and obviously I'm here to talk about Kyle Larson today. Kyle Larson fan. The Shrine's got the lights back on, as you can see in the top right. So yeah, Kyle Larson earns career win number 30 after a pretty entertaining last run charge. I mean, to Alex, I was texting you with 20 to go. I was like, girl, I don't care about this race. Alex Bowman and Chase Briscoe, am I supposed to care? Like,
yeah, and Bubba Wallace. It was like these guys that normally run around 10th, 15th.
Like Bubba,
Chase Adams for the win.
Hey,
but like that
Bubba
was pretty fun. Cool. It would have been, but it was very different.
It
not
felt
a bad
weird.
thing at all.
Like a bunch of random people up here running up front. Like, where's my Blaneys? Where's my Byrons? Where's my Bells? Where's my Hamlins? Like, that's what I wanted to see, but no. Yeah.
Well, Kyle Larson did come really close to getting the weekend sweep. That overtime in the Xfinity race kind of held him back. But the truck race, he only won that because Corey Haim's car kept turning off. So
people wanted to hang on that point so much Friday night. It was so annoying. Did he win the race or not?
He did win it. Yeah.
He won it. Yes. Larson made a mistake that lost him track position, and then God gifted him the win back. So it's equal. Yeah. It's all even. Everything works out.
In all seriousness, Kyle Larson, he's just him. I saw a lot of complaints that the broadcast kept talking about him over and over and over.
Yeah.
He's just the guy. He's probably the best in NASCAR right now. He's been called the greatest of the era for a reason. Look, I understand everyone's annoyed hearing the same thing over and over again, but it's true. Like, sorry to tell you.
It's just like how people hated Jimmy. It's just like how people hated Jimmy. I mean, these kids in 10 years on Twitter are going to be like, man, I miss Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson was the best. I love Kyle Larson. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to look back on it and really be fond over this era. And I really appreciate that Larson is trying to do this weekend sweep. I want to talk more about that because he hasn't had the opportunity to do it at Homestead because Homestead's been in the playoffs, which Cup drivers cannot run the truck and Xfinity races in the playoffs. So, this is probably, if with Homestead being, you need to run the wall. Larson's the best guy to do that. He has an advantage over the whole field. This is one of the best tracks he can kind of accomplish this feat at. And it kind of pisses me off that he didn't do it because he had a 18-second lead in Xfinity, and then they wrecked for 20th, and then Sam Mayer messed up his restart, and that was that. I mean, that's racing. You'll get that. I'm not necessarily too mad at Sam Mayer, but
I mean, Sam Mayer did cost him that.
That's disappointing. That's hugely disappointing.
Kyle did say he spun his tires, but I think it was more so that Sam Mayer just gave him a horrible push.
He spun his tires because his tires aren't in the, they're up in the air. He's getting pushed. Those Xfinity cars you can't shove as much as you can like the Cup cars or even the trucks. Like, there's just not a lot of weight in the back. You just can't do it. So that definitely pisses me off. However, according to Mike Joy, I haven't actually looked into it, but I'm pretty sure it's true. He will be attempting the triple at Bristol in a few weeks.
Okay.
And that's the thing. I was thinking, I'm like, what other track could Larson do this? Because if Homestead, the rumors are Homestead goes back to the playoffs next year as the championship race. So then again, he wouldn't be able to do the Xfinity or truck races. If I was like, what other track could he do this at? Right? That he's like this good at, because it needs to be his best track, or else it's going to be kind of hard to do. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Bristol's perfect.
Well,
what other track is he really good at? Bristol.
That's where Kyle Busch did it in 2010 and 2017. No one else has done that.
That'd be kind of cool. Like, he does what Kyle Busch did. That's at the same track. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I really hope it happens, because it's one of those last few things, besides Daytona, that Kyle needs to do in NASCAR. So
yeah. Well, Homestead was a really good race, and you mentioned might go back in the playoffs. Jordan Bianchi did an article about how NASCAR wants the finale back at Homestead, and the Homestead, the city, wants the finale back at Homestead, but the money just isn't really there. Check out that article over on The Athletic. But our Patreon member, Chris, says, Homestead is such a great track. I love the racing there, especially over a long green flag run. It should be the finale. Are we still on the Homestead should be the finale train? It sounds like they want it to be, but there's money in the way.
Here's what Homestead has over most tracks. In terms of, I'm going to talk about it like it's almost like a video game thing. Like, in terms of like skill ceiling, like the most skilled drivers will get the most out of a racetrack. I don't think there's a track more that has that more than Homestead. Because the skill of riding the wall as close as you can and the risk associated with that, that is such a test of your driving ability in a stock car. I feel like I don't know if there's any other track on the schedule that tests that more. I think Homestead is and was and always will be the perfect track to test the skills of drivers, and especially if they keep a one race championship, you want it to be at a track that is testing the most skills and that the best drivers always win at. Right? Look at the people that win Homestead: Larson, Reddick, Bells, Byron's, Hamlin's, Joey Logano's won there. Like all the champions all won there in those years. You never see random winners at Homestead, and that's for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's why we didn't see those Bowman and Briscoes win yesterday, because Larson had them beat on that final run. There's a reason the best drivers win at Homestead.
This is a joking counterpoint. Cale Gale was a pretty random winner at Homestead.
I bet he was probably really good. He left on a high.
Yeah, I guess.
He had to beat Kyle Busch to do it. So
I agree that Homestead should be the finale again. We'll see if that happens. I'm hoping it's not at Phoenix again. I'm over that. I don't think Phoenix has any of the...
It's got to be at Miami.
Phoenix doesn't have any of the aura that
it Homestead kind of has. Does, but it doesn't. It's like Thermal Club aura. Not because it's just in the desert. Maybe it's because it's in the desert.
That's so mean.
That's true. Thermal Club at least has nice houses on the hills. Phoenix just has cactuses.
Phoenix is better than Thermal. We'll talk about Miss Thermal Club later. Don't you worry.
Phoenix should have some rich houses on the hills. That'd be great.
So, nice. Just put houses over on Rattlesnake Hill.
Yeah, I'll live there.
Our Patreon member Chris went on to say that he's not a Kyle Larson fan, but you can't deny his skill with leaving the right rear on the wall like that. The right guy won, as we talked about. Driver's skill at Homestead is unmatched. And Zach, we thought this race was pretty good, right? Yeah. I was trying to watch IndyCar, unfortunately, while watching this as well. Wow. But I enjoyed what I saw with IndyCar. But
NASCAR? You mean what?
With you NASCAR, sorry. I said IndyCar. Yeah. You were on Twitter. You still use that dumb app. You noticed something over there. What do you got to say?
Well, we liked the race, but I saw this, and it wasn't just during the Cup race. It was during the Xfinity race and even the truck race a little bit. Like, a lot of people thought this racing was boring. And I kind of understand why.
And my counterpoint is that you're on Twitter. No one likes anything on Twitter.
Okay, sure, whatever. But, like, I still want to address it, because Jeff Gluck was fighting with people on Twitter that, people thought the racing was boring. I think a lot of that has to do with, one, we're comparing it to the playoff weekends that have a lot of stakes and drama to it. I mean, that playoff race last year, we said it on our episode. You can look back. That race was so amazing, honestly, low key, because of the playoffs. Because we had like those 5 guys fighting for those spots, and they were slugging it out and throwing sliders and air blocking each other and wild pit strategies and all that stuff. And you know, for this race in the regular season, it's just not going to have those kinds of stakes. I will say, you know, Friday, the truck race, I thought it was cool to see Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain slug it out with Lane Riggs and Corey Heim. I think that's something that you kind of miss from the lower series, from the bushwhacking era, even though we don't want it back, but it was still something that was cool. I didn't get to watch much of the Xfinity race. I can understand why maybe someone would find that boring if someone has an 18-second lead. I think another thing with the Cup race, there's a lot of tire saving going on. The Homestead is one of the few tracks left where that track naturally is just, you know, wearing tires. It's a very old surface. A lot of the boring racing was on lap like 30 of a run, right? And I get it, because these drivers, they're probably going to ride around a little bit because they know their pit stop's coming. They're trying to save tires. Well, I guess they're not saving tires if their stop's coming, but like the effort to make a pass and the tires that's going to burn, it's just not worth it. I'm thinking, because again, I'm the number one hater of the next gen car, especially on these intermediate tracks. I think it is still kind of overrated. I mean, we see, again, it is still hard to pass, but it's not impossible. And we saw some interesting strategies. We saw Larson literally charge from 4th to 1st in the final 15 laps. We saw that. I mean, we saw that in the stages. I love how we actually had green flag pit stops in this race, by the way. I heard
first
it was
of the season.
That's ridiculous that it took 6 weeks to do that, but okay, whatever. I won't complain. I mean, you saw people once the people were on differing strategies, it was kind of fun to watch. People charging up that pitted later, and you know, it was cool. I mean, it was fun. It's racing. It's stock car racing.
And we've talked a lot about tires this year so far, and tires really it's a big part of why, you know, Darlington and Homestead and Kansas to a lesser extent is why those races are really good. It's also because they have multiple lanes and grooves they can go in, but the tires wear more at those tracks.
Yeah. And another thing with like Homestead too is, if this was, you know, this is just the regular season. It's also early regular season. There are not many long-term storylines going on right now because we have a playoff format. And again, not to harp on the playoff format, but there's nothing else to really talk about, right? There's no major play. Like, I mean, we're talking later, like, oh, these guys are off to a bad start in the season. That's it. That's all there's really is, in my opinion. That's all that's really waitable to talk about. So it's this race might not have a lot of long-term storylines going on that, you know, doesn't add context to anything. So it is what it is.
Some drivers who are, you know, putting in a good run at Homestead were Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman. It looked like this was going to come down to those two. That was a pretty fun battle between them as well. Later, Alex Bowman did pass Bubba Wallace and then was passed by Kyle Larson at the wall in turn 4.
That would have been a good battle between them. Like if they were coming down to the checkers, because they have history, they have a grudge, low key, and they're both in situations where it's like they need to win more. Like they're hungry, they really need to win more, and they both had an opportunity. And
I want to focus on Bubba Wallace because I don't believe he's ever run this good in the first half of the season. Usually he'll run really good, like except when the playoffs start. He's not in the playoffs, you know.
Yeah,
and it's too late. Like we've seen him run okay, like at Charlotte, like the 600, right? But I don't recall early in the season. And our Patreon member Dirt says Bubba has had a relatively strong start to the season with his new crew chief Charles Denicky. Do we think that his third win is coming sooner rather than later?
Definitely, because there has been the problem with the 23 team in the past, I think, was putting stage 3 together, and now they're putting stage 3 together. Like they are keeping up with adjustments. They are keeping track position. And by keeping track position, they're not getting involved in wrecks, which is kind of what plagued them last like spring and April, where they kept.
And also the pit crew isn't taking them out of it either.
True. We haven't been talking about their pit crew. Yeah, their pit crew was taking them out of a lot of races.
And that's the thing. If we're not talking about your pit crew, that means you're probably doing something right.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I feel like some days Bubba's running better than Reddick. Yesterday he was, obviously, but
Oh, yeah. And Reddick was the reigning winner at Homestead. So, I mean, that says quite a lot for Bubba Wallace, I think.
yeah. Bubba's 7th in points in front of Denny Hamlin. I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I mean, I'm just looking at the scorecard. This is only his second, like, top 10 finish of the year. Like, he's had
a lot of bad luck.
Yeah. So, but he's still 7th in points, which tells me he's been getting a lot of stage points. So, yeah, he is running up front. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who has been running up front is Ryan Blaney. Bad luck continued at Homestead, specifically at Homestead. Just really rough luck for Ryan Blaney. This is now the second week in a row he's blown an engine, and he has 3 DNFs in a row. Before this season, he only had 5 DNFs, period, in his career.
Really?
I read that. Maybe it was blown engines. Sorry. I think it might have been 5 blown engines.
I think that was blown engines. I think it was like 2.
I said that out loud. That didn't sound right. 5
it was 2
engines.
blown. I'm about to say all the times he's gotten wrecked at Daytona.
Yeah, I was going to say that didn't sound right. Anyway.
I don't think there's any NASCAR driver that only has 5 DNFs. Yeah, there's 6 super speedway races in the season.
5 blown engines in his career. Now he's blown 2 in a row. That's what the stat was.
What else did he blow an engine? Was that Phoenix?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Oh.
Or
both
Vegas.
times you picked him for fantasy, huh? I think
it
I know what the
Vegas,
issue is.
Because Vegas was last week.
Oh, it was Vegas? No. I thought he blew one at Phoenix. Maybe not. I don't remember. Either way, you should stop picking him for fantasy. It's your problem. Didn't you pick him for fantasy at Vegas too? This is your problem.
I don't remember, girl.
I don't remember.
You bring up these stats and I don't remember. Anyway, Blaney has championship winning. Blaney has championship winning speed. It's just the car needs to finish the race. I think he was better than Kyle Larson yesterday.
I disagree.
Who led like 80% of the race?
Larson was warming up, dude.
It was not Kyle Larson.
There was one lap Kyle Larson needed to lead, and it was lap 267. You saw that in yesterday's run. Kyle Larson had a long run car.
No. Kyle Larson did not lead the most laps yesterday.
He also
That's my question.
No, I'm not answering your question, obviously. Kyle Larson was not worried about leading the most laps yesterday. He was worried about finishing first, getting those dubs.
Enough.
He focuses on the dubs. He said himself he had a long run car. He qualified in the back. He had track position to make up. He was in front. In fact, he was in front of Blaney when Blaney's engine went out. So I don't know what you're talking about, Alex.
Yeah, Blaney was behind him because his pit crew cost him 6 positions in the pits, and he was charging back up about to pass Kyle Larson a couple laps later until his engine blew up.
Well, it sounds like y'all need a new pit crew. I don't know. Y'all keep saying Ryan Blaney has bad luck. Well, listen, there's a saying. If you keep smelling something, check your shoe. I'm just saying. You might have stepped in something. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about some other notable highlights. That was a messy segment. Kyle Busch.
Call me messy. God.
Kyle Busch was running in 30th all day.
Speaking of messy, this is the messy segment. All these names you're about to talk about here.
No comment about Kyle Busch, Zach? You want to rub it into everyone?
I hope he says he's retiring in what? Is that 20 minutes? I can't. 51?
It is currently 6:22
minutes.
Eastern.
He's making an announcement in 22 minutes, and I'm hoping to God it's that he's retiring. I hope it is. You know, I swept the fantasy weekend. You'll see why I'm bringing it up. I swept the fantasy weekend with NASCAR and IndyCar. The last time I did that was the weekend that Kyle Busch won at Gateway, his final career win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went and looked that back up, and funny enough, Alex Palou won the IndyCar race that weekend.
Well, of course he did. He always wins.
Yeah. So it's been that long since Kyle Busch has won. So.
Wow. Another person who's having a rough run is Ty Gibbs. He ran around 25th all day, and Patreon member Chris wants to know, is Ty Gibbs a Nepa baby who just had far superior equipment in the lower series, or can he break this bad run?
Girl, he's behind SVG in points.
We're about to talk about SVG too.
Girl, listen. We know Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Gibbs is kind of like the Cole Custers, the Harrison Burtons, people that are really good in the Xfinity series. They're really good with that car, And that style of car, the next gen car is completely different. And I saw something on Twitter this morning. It was like, you look at guys like, they said Zane Smith, but I don't think he's a good example. Carson Hocevar, who didn't do Xfinity. He just went from trucks to Cup, and the success they've had. Who else did that? Was it no, it wasn't Ryan Prix. So somebody else. But anyway, it's like,
I don't know.
There's these guys that are good in the Xfinity car, and then they just can't have that same kind of performance in the Cup car. And Ty Gibbs just looks like that because he is not fast. Yeah, he's had bad luck this season, but he's also just not fast. You know?
Yeah.
And there's also this like snowball thing where when you finish bad, your metric is bad for the qualifying order, and then it kind of makes you qualify bad, and then you're stuck in the back and you're stuck in traffic. But I don't think that's an excuse, because we see people start in the back all the time, like Kyle Larson or Denny Hamlin or whatever, and they come up through the field. It's not impossible. There's something going on with that 54 team. There's something missing. He has a new crew chief this year. Is it Chris Gale? Or is that
Chris
Denny's
Gale went to
chief?
Denny.
So Ty Gibbs has like a new crew chief this year. I forgot who it is.
I'm not sure. You look that up, because I'm going to say that's a big reason why Ty Gibbs is struggling as the new crew chief, because a year ago, we were like, Ty Gibbs is going to win a race this year. Tyler Allen. Ty Gibbs was looking like he was going to win a race last year. And we said in our pre-race or pre-season episode that Ty Gibbs would probably get that win this year. And he's not shown that at all. The last few races of last year were pretty bad for him too. Ty Gibbs is just struggling, I think, to gel with this new crew chief. The car shouldn't have changed. But like, he was running really, really good last year at points. So I don't know what happened.
Not the whole season though, because remember the end of last season too.
I said that. I'm talking about the early part of the season. He was not running well. It looked like he was going to get a win at some point.
It was really just like, I don't know, the last half of the season, not even just the playoffs. The last half of the season, he kind of fell off a lot. I don't know, man. Something's off. Like, I don't want to say it's just the new crew chief. I think it's more than that.
I think it's a big part of it.
It is, because Tyler Allen, he was an Xfinity crew chief before then, and you know, I don't know what goes into being a crew chief in Cup versus Xfinity, but
my thing with Ty Gibbs though is that he has shown glimmers of, like, you know, potential, and this is not the Ty Gibbs that we have seen the past couple of years since he first came onto the scene. It's just bizarre to me. Something doesn't add up.
He's kind of, you know, he reminds me of William Byron a little bit. William Byron's early career, like in 2018, 2019, he would show glimmers. He would run a pole maybe every now and then, run in the top 10 every now and then. But, you know, overall, just kind of not run that good. Like, he's not out here trying to win races much either. But maybe this is just a slump. Maybe he'll get out of it. I don't know. It's going to be hard because he has an inexperienced crew chief. I mean, if I had to pick a playoff grid right now, he's not on it. Especially again, he's so low in points. He's kind of gonna have to win at this point. We're 6 races in. I think he's gonna have to win. There's no way.
He's gonna have to have a turnaround real quick.
Yeah.
Moving on, Trackhouse, they had another rough day. Daniel Suarez spun on the pit entry, but he was actually the highest finisher of the Trackhouse cars. He finished 22nd. Ross Chastain finished 31st, was non-factor. And Shane Van Gisbergen was last all day. He was running with Kyle Busch. He finished 32nd. What I want to talk about here is what's going on at Trackhouse, because at one point they were really good. Ross Chastain won at Kansas last year.
Yeah. What the help of strategy?
Yeah.
Wasn't Ross at the front? Yeah, he almost won Vegas low key. Like, if the caution didn't come out, he was actually leading.
So weird. Trackhouse is so weird. They are either last or in the top 10. Like, I mean, again, in between.
It's kind of like why, you know, Bowman and Bubba are up there. Homestead, I think, asks a lot of a driver, and I think it mixes up the order a little bit. You know, it is a little bit easier to pass. Yeah, I don't know. They just had an off weekend. I feel like there's less to talk about because it's not consistent with them. I mean, SVG struggling on ovals. Yeah, he's gonna struggle on ovals.
I give him a pass because
he's gonna make the playoffs.
He's new to the Cup car and everything.
He's gonna be in the playoffs, so I'm not. Well, I wouldn't guarantee that either. You never know because SVG has still only won one race.
If it rains in Mexico City, lock him in.
It's keys. It's keys. He'll be winning. I will say Ross Chastain, he had a funny moment on Friday night because Carson Hocevar was interviewing him for the drivers only truck broadcast on Fox. Actually, I do have to talk about that, but in a minute. And Ross threw shade at Carson because he was like, Carson, I'm glad you have a microphone in your hand instead of a steering wheel. And Carson Hocevar, he played it off really. He didn't even like acknowledge it. And then Ross Chastain proceeded to wreck about 3 trucks in turn 1 of the race. So that was
just another day. Yeah.
Just another day in Ross Chastain's life. I cannot believe that man sometimes. He is he's crazy. Did you watch the truck race?
I had the last bit on. Yeah.
Kevin Harvick is not good in the booth. The ship has sailed. The ship has sailed with Kevin Harvick. Brad and Joey, yes, because they're basically boyfriends. They're funny. They should have had Blaney, Joey, and Brad in the booth.
Dude, that would have been so fun.
Imagine. And it should have been a super speedway race. It should have been at Atlanta a few weeks ago. Could you imagine? That would have been good. Or even Austin Cindric was he was on pit road. Put Austin Cindric in. You just need to line up a Penske guys in the booth.
Yep. Bring in the personality.
That's what they should do for Thermal Club next year. They should just have like some old IndyCar drivers. Or no, they don't. No, that wouldn't work. Never mind. That was dumb. Shut up. I'm gonna shut up. Anyways, Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin had a new sponsor, Progressive. It's an interesting looking paint scheme. It's got a big P on the big P on the front.
I'm sure you like that, Zach.
It's a big blue P or big white P.
I'm sure you love that.
It's so weird because it extends all the way down to the front.
I like that this is a new sponsor for him. I actually like the paint scheme and everything. I would need an ad with Flo and Denny together. I think that'd be funny.
I want Flo at the track.
Let her do the command.
Yes, Progressive should sponsor a race.
Yeah.
The Progressive 400. Flo and her little sidekicks, her little twink, that redheaded twink.
The little gay one. Yeah.
The little gay one. The little gay one. He's like a little elf.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That would be great though.
Flo and her Bob.
They're on board for 18 races, which like that's huge.
That's basically what FedEx has been doing their last couple of years.
They had that much of a sponsor gap, which was kind of crazy. And I mean, some people are like, man, it took them this long to get it signed in the year, but hey, at least they got a deal. At least they got a deal. Like it doesn't, I don't care if it's, week 6.
No. They didn't have a sponsorless weekend, so I mean, this worked out.
Yeah, I like it. Good on JGR.
Hopefully it's multi-year. I don't know if that's what I was said or not, but hopefully it is.
He might win the Daytona 500 in that paint scheme.
He could.
They changed the rules package.
Someone else who's having a pretty rough time. We talked about a bunch of these other guys having rough times. Brad Keselowski, just nowhere to be found, was 26th, while his teammates Buescher and Ryan Preece were in the top 10. I have a theory. Keselowski's driving the new 3rd RFK car, and Preece is driving the old 6. I think that might be what's going on.
Well, did they switch? They didn't switch crew chiefs or anything, did they? I don't think so.
I
don't think that's how
Brad.
Oh, they did?
Brad Keselowski has the one and only Jeremy Bolins, who held Ryan Blaney back for years and was with Harrison Burton last year.
So did Matt McCall? Where did Matt McCall go?
Is he with Preece?
Ryan Preece.
See, I should have researched this.
Ryan Preece crew chief Derek Finley.
You ask questions I'm not prepared to answer.
Okay, who's Chris Buescher's crew chief? Scott Graves. He's been at him. I don't know where I think Matt McCall went somewhere else. I remember.
I just looked it up.
Anyways,
maybe he went to Spire.
So
yeah, Matt McCall went to Spire.
Okay, I remember seeing that. So I could see your theory being correct because if Brad's going to start building a new team, he seems like the type of person to put that on his shoulders. Yeah, right.
Because the 60's been running about what the 6 was last year.
Yeah. And the 60's been running pretty. I mean, Ryan Prix, he got another top 10 yesterday, didn't he? Consecutive top 10s. Like, yeah, 2 consecutive top 10s. 15th place before that at Phoenix. I mean, he's been having a solid year. He's, he could be one of those guys fighting for those last spots in the playoffs. You never know. But that is kind of, it's funny though, because we always used to talk about how 2 RFK cars are always running good. They're always running the same. Well, it's still just 2 RFK cars running the same.
I will say though, once again, Jeremy Bolins, I don't think that was a good hire. He has not been good at Penske. I understand Brad won a lot of races with him in the Xfinity series when he drove the 22 car and that. He's just not good.
Someone said yesterday, maybe Harrison wasn't the only reason the 21 was slow. Because that was also a change over the offseason with the 21 team, and they go ahead and win a race.
Yep.
Harrison Burton is not the problem. Harrison Burton is not the problem. Oh my gosh.
Jeremy Bolins, how could you? Yep.
Oh my gosh. When did Ryan finally lose him as crew chief? Was that 2021, his last year? Because then he went to Harrison, I think.
Maybe.
No, because then I think he went to Cindric. And then they switched.
It might have been 2020. It was rough. It was around then, early 2020, late, maybe 19. It was around then.
Who is Blaney's? Oh, what's his name? Jonathan Hassler.
Jay Haas.
Jay Haas.
Yes.
Y'all love Jay Haas. You and Brooke.
Jay Haas is a real one. Well, here we go. Let's talk about IndyCar at Thermal.
You are a hater. And I love it. Let's hate on IndyCar. I hate IndyCar. IndyCar is awful.
Listen, if you have been around the Gay Racing Podcast for at least a year, you know I despise this race. Last year, I said Roger Penske should not be the lead of the IndyCar series anymore over the decision to run at Thermal Club. Here we are a year later, and it is now a points race. It's not a weird pseudo all-star race anymore.
Which I think
it's actually
good. It should just be
actually a points race.
If we're going to be here for a weekend, let's have a points race.
That is better. But listen, the power outage is some sweet karma, if you ask me, because you are already hosting a goofy, exclusive to the rich people, race on a private club that's in the middle of nowhere, mind you. And the power goes out. So now no one at home can watch either. Now it's only 20, 30 laps of this race are just lost media now. And
thank God.
Yeah, thank God, actually.
No.
Roger Penske, if you needed a sign, I'm going to look right into the camera. Roger Penske, if you needed a sign from the universe that never go back to Thermal Club, that was it. Don't go back there. Come on. This is so goofy. We are in the millionaire and billionaire backyard on a racetrack that's not actually meant for racing. It's meant to drive their silly little Lamborghinis on just for a little Sunday drive because they're bored and they have nothing else to do with their money. Come on. Zach, do you have thoughts before we read our Patreon comments?
Yeah, Thermal, to me, it's a very weird... IndyCar going to Thermal makes it look like IndyCar is desperate and they have nowhere else to go.
They are desperate.
Because they are desperate and they have nowhere else to go. It's either they race at Thermal or there's no race at all that weekend. Apparently.
And here's the thing. The original concept of going here was to try and attract sponsors for these higher ups in corporate world who live in Thermal Club. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, let me know on Blue Sky. As far as I know, that hasn't happened. Yet we're still doing this. And what frustrates me is this used to be the Texas Motor Speedway race weekend. And I understand NASCAR is a stranglehold on a lot of the ovals in the United States. I understand IndyCar is on better terms with SMI than they are with NASCAR. It's still a little weird because NASCAR and SMI are closer than they used to be. They shouldn't have left Texas. If you're going to go to Arlington, at least stay in Texas until you go to Arlington next year. I don't know. Frustrating. Just frustrating all around. We could have been at an oval. We could have been anywhere beneficial. Work with NASCAR. Maybe you could have been the Saturday night race at Las Vegas
I mean,
or
at this
Phoenix.
point, if NASCAR is not going to let you have race weekends at their track, then you might want to be the support series at their track. Like,
Just be
at
the
this point.
support.
Honestly, at
Please,
this point,
just do it.
at Ovals.
The only reason IMS that partnership ended is because the IndyCar paddock didn't like being second fiddle at IMS. I get it. You can be second fiddle pretty much anywhere else, and I think that's fine.
I think they could have been fine being second fiddle at IMS for a weekend, but that's just me.
Yeah, I
not that
understand
big
why
of a
there was a
deal.
lot of frustration about it, but like, it was the road course, you know.
It's a road course race in August, and you already ran this race in May. Chill, like just chill out.
Right.
Yeah, and that gets into the schedule again. I feel like Thermal Club is kind of the epitome of everything that's kind of wrong with IndyCar right now. Like, it's kind of a visualization of the identity crisis going on, because what is IndyCar? We know what the Indy 500 is, and some people think the IndyCar racing should look like the Indy 500, but then we go to Thermal Club, this random weird road course that's not really set up for IndyCar racing, even though yesterday we saw some decent racing yesterday, I will say. But no, there was some good racing. I think Alex Pallot's charge with battle with Christian Lundgaard.
There were two moments of the race, and it was when Alex Palou passed Christian Lundgaard and when Alex Palou passed Pato Ward. Nothing else happened in this race.
Well, listen, it was better. One, I think that's just what Fox showed us, and two, better than St. Pete. Better than St. Pete. I'll take it. The bar's on the floor.
What? The best part of this race is when it went to the NASCAR race. That was the best part of the IndyCar race. When the IndyCar race was pulled off the air.
I don't know why people got like a little miffed about that. Because
that wasn't Fox's fault. That was
probably the best option they were going to do, because they would have just switched to the NASCAR race anyways, but they made it so that they stayed on the channel for when IndyCar came back.
Imagine if they started playing the 2024 Thermal Club race. I think that would have made people more mad.
That would have been honest,
because that was awful.
I hate when they do that, because then I imagine all the stupid people that are confused right now. I remember a few years ago when Daytona was rained out and they were playing the road course clash on TV, and my mom thought that was the Daytona 500.
The road course. Oh no.
The pre-recorded clash race at the road course.
We have some Patreon comments about this. Chris says, I'm not a big IndyCar fan, but Thermal Club, there's no bigger FU to the average racing fan than having your race at a privately owned club surrounded by rich people. That's exactly what I'm saying. I agree. Thank you, Chris. And Patreon member Dirt says Thermal was an absolute drag. I'm glad we lost 20 laps because there wasn't much to watch. Yeah. Yep, pretty much.
I think that, again, I don't even... That's all IndyCar road racing to me right now. It's just kind of, especially with these hybrid units, I don't want to put that on Thermal, because I don't think the track is that awful for racing. I think it's a little long almost.
That race dragged on forever.
I know,
felt like.
You're right. There was but that's IndyCar road racing right now, I feel like.
You're not wrong. I don't disagree.
That's why like I get harping on Hermal. I said Hermal. Thermal for all like the kind of, I don't want to call it political, but it's like the off the track stuff. I get that, because you're very valid. The on the track stuff, it is what it is. That was just another IndyCar road race. I will say I wish IndyCar went more actual road courses, because they do go to a lot of tracks, kind of like Barber, kind of like Mid-Ohio. They go to all these windy tracks that don't set themselves up for good Formula car racing. They're either motorcycle tracks like Barber, or they're sports car like oriented club circuits. Like we need to, Road America, that's great. That's a great racetrack. We should be going to COTA. We should be going to, what's another great road course? We should have a race at Sebring.
Watkins Glen.
We should be going to Watkins Glen. We should be going to North America's finest road courses, not Thermal Club.
But here's the problem.
Not the Barber Gay Art Museum, not Mid-Ohio sports car course. We should not be going to those places.
The problem is no one shows up. No one showed up to Watkins Glen. No one showed up to COTA. No one shows up to Texas Motor Speedway. That's why they're just going to throw... Here, let's throw in a race at the Rich People Club because they're going to pay us a bunch of money. We'll make up the money that a fan isn't giving us for tickets. That's the whole reason they're doing this, but it's stupid. Just market your events.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Anyway, Patreon member Dirt also said there might be credence to what one of us said. I don't remember which one of us said it, about Alex Palou being IndyCar's Jimmy Johnson. And of course, Alex Palou did win again after chasing down Pato
He didn't
O'Ward.
dominate. He had to chase down the McLarens to do it. He had a great battle with Christian Lundgaard. Come on, y'all.
I was just about to say Pato O'Ward dominated the race, but Alex Palou chased down both O'Ward and Christian Lundgaard. McLaren gets another double podium after they did so in F1 as well. I don't have much to say about that. Alex Palou goes back to back. Cool. Yes.
Someone said that it was almost a sweep of McLaren drivers winning all the races. Technically, Palou was a contracted McLaren driver, so contracted McLaren drivers won all of the races yesterday. Kind of. Kyle Larson, McLaren, right here. So,
you know what? Yeah. Congratulations, Zack Brown. Yeah.
It was a day. It was papaya. It was a good day for papaya. I'll tell you what.
Oh my gosh. Now, something funny, Scott McLaughlin and Devlin DeFrancesco got into it after the race and before the race. Before the race, coming to the green, Devlin and Scott got into each other. I put the situation on Devlin DeFrancesco. He just basically took out McLaughlin. And then after the race, Devlin approached Scott and was just screaming at him. And I saw a funny post that said, Scott McLaughlin binge watching Jersey Shore prepared him for that moment because a short person was just screaming at him.
A short Italian person?
Yeah, a short Italian person. Yeah. Thought that was funny.
I will say, though, Scott McLaughlin, if you hang out with the squirrels, you might lose a nut.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's not how the saying goes. This is the second time in podcast history I've messed up that saying. Is it you get your nuts cracked? Is that what it is? I don't know.
Whoa.
He got his nuts cracked,
Children, listen
man.
to this.
He got his nuts cracked. Listen, he qualified back with Devlin DeFrancesco, and he got taken out by Devlin DeFrancesco. I mean, don't qualify in the back then. I don't know what happened to him when qualifying. I wasn't watching.
The next IndyCar race is April 13th because they desperately need another break. Thank you, IndyCar. Moving into the T.
Wait, one more thing about thermal. I heard David Land said this on his video. It was like that someone at Thermal is, they're talking about reconfiguring the track for IndyCar racing. Can we reconfigure it into an oval?
Sure. Why
might be one way. That might be the way. Honestly, NASCAR won't let you race at their tracks. So let's build an oval at Thermal Club. Use the rich people's money to build an oval. Let's do it.
Fine.
The Thermal 500. Let's do it. That'd be sick. I would actually kind of be a fan of that.
Let's get into the T. It is now past 1851. Kyle Busch did not announce his retirement. I'm sorry to share that with you.
What did he announce? Is he doing a late model race with Brexton?
It's what I thought it would be. He and Brexton are just doing a race against each other. So, anyway.
Where?
Millbridge.
Anyway. Ain't that a dirt track? Am I supposed to care?
Formula One. Oscar Piastri won the race. Lewis Hamilton won a sprint race, but then was disqualified in the actual race, as well as
in the
Charles Leclerc. Yeah, in the actual Grand Prix. So another bad week for Ferrari.
Okay, boy, Hamilton won the sprint though. 8 points. Let's go. Hamilton win. Hamilton dub.
Yeah.
Woo!
And we have some tea here for F1. Patreon member Dirt let me know that it's not just rumors anymore. Motorsport.com has reported that Colapinto might take the Racing Bull seat while Yuki Tsunoda moves up to the Red Bull seat and Liam Lawson is out of a job entirely.
That's crazy. Like,
we are 2 races in.
Not even sending Lawson back to Racing Bulls. Just like, bye, get out of the sport. What?
Damn.
That's kind of... Listen, here's the thing. this is what we went with: Pierre Gasly, the second Red Bull seat, Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Sergio Perez, now Liam Lawson. This is 4 drivers that cannot figure out how to drive that second Red Bull car. I saw a TikTok interview, or it wasn't TikTok, but like I saw it on TikTok. Like Alex Albon described why it's so hard, because Max Verstappen's driving style is very pointy. Like he kind of compared it to trying to control your mouse when it's like the sensitivity is like really, really high. That's what it's like driving the Red Bull car, because it fits Max Verstappen because that's how he drives. But all these other drivers, they have to completely change their driving style to do it, and it's just kind of impossible. And that's kind of the Red Bull conundrum with F1. It's something that popped up last year when, you know, a team like McLaren showed up with 2 very fast cars and very fast drivers. They got their ass handed to them in the Constructors' Championship, as they should, right?
Yeah.
Listen, you can glaze Max Verstappen all you want and give him his perfect car all you want. They're never going to figure out this second driver problem. But
in their ideal scenario,
anyways,
in Red Bull's dream scenario, there wouldn't be a second car. They would just have the one for Max Verstappen.
Yeah, and apparently they would just. I mean, it's a new level when it's just 2 races and they're already looking. Imagine just having 2 bad races and now, okay, bye, you're out of a job.
See,
just 2 races.
We've given McLaren a lot of crap for doing that in IndyCar, but like Nolan Siegel's running like 26th last 2 weeks in IndyCar, and he's still there. It's not like they're yanking him just yet.
Well, hell, McLaren, they were firing people not even for how they were running on track. They didn't care.
True.
They were just like, well, you know what? I just feel like getting a new driver at this point. You're fired. Bye.
True.
Bye,
Yeah,
Theo.
true.
Teo. Yeah.
And since we're on F1,
that's spicy.
Yeah, that's some hot tea.
I feel bad for everyone involved, because I don't know if Yuki Tsunoda can do better either. I don't think anyone can do better.
No, they're just.
I don't know.
I mean, they'll probably throw Yuki out too. Like,
I think they're gonna have to try to clone Max Verstappen. Like,
I have a suggestion. Take Alex Palou and put Alex Palou in the second Red Bull car.
Didn't I say that a few years ago?
I think you did.
That'd be cool.
You know why I'm saying that?
Why? Oh,
so Joseph Newgarden can finally win a championship again.
Girl, you mean what? Pato O'Ward, Scott McLaughlin. Joseph ain't running good on these roads. Where did he finish yesterday? 13. I think he finished 13th. He finished 13th.
Yeah, below top 10.
He's finished worse.
But listen, get Alex Palou out of IndyCar, please. I'm sick of him. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. But in all seriousness, I think Alex Palou would actually be like actually good in that car. So if Red Bull wants to make that car competitive, I think that'd be fun. Anyway, Zach, we are talking about F1. Our Patreon subs can expect something from you this week regarding F1, right?
Yeah, I'm going to make a little bonus video with our good friend Elizabeth Blackstock. We're going to talk about the F1 rookies, because we made comments last week that we thought the F1 rookie class were all these random people that were like, where did they come from? And I'm going to kind of get to the bottom of it, right? I'm not just going to sit there and be like, okay, so Elizabeth, where did this guy come from? Where did this guy come from? We're going to talk about them a little bit more in depth, because I want to get more of their backstory, and she follows F1 a lot closer than we do. So that'll be fun. You should expect that on Patreon. Like what? Maybe Wednesday night, Thursday. It'll be up on, the channels and stuff probably sometime next week. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Look forward to it. I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, I want to talk about Isaac Hadger more, because I'm low-key... The TikToks Dude. With Isaac Hadger and Yuki Tsunoda. Isaac Hadger, he's one of the girls. Like, know what I mean?
He's eating up those roles.
I love him. Best Actor Award to Isaac Hadger. He is eating it up. I love him. He's my second favorite F1 driver right now, behind Lewis. 100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Even over Charles? Charles was your number one for a long time.
Charles, to me, is just kind of boring.
Okay.
I think I honestly just liked him because he was cute. But
Fair.
his personality, he's just so, I don't know. Like, I still like him. I love how he's Lewis's teammate now, but
yeah,
something about him's just kind of, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
I get what you're saying.
It's just off-putting to me. So I have two things to talk about. One, well, no, this isn't a thing. They released like cover art for the new F1 game, and Lewis is on it, and I'm like, girl, he's so attractive. Did you see like the sprint win graphic, and Lewis is just like
I did.
like, why is that man so attractive?
Oh my gosh, love it.
Jesse Love is getting close to that on his CW pick, but
He is. I was just thinking about Jesse Love when you were doing that.
CW needs to cover F1, man. Could you imagine? They would even have what's some awkward F1 driver? They would even have like Oscar Piastri serving the. He is kind of awkward. Apparently, he wasn't very excited in his winning interview.
Oscar Piastri is so awkward. I think that's why I find him so adorable. He's just
that
so
makes
cute.
sense. That makes sense. We're just yapping out these hot F1 drivers.
See,
I have some.
Oh, and by the way, the TikTok comments were so mad that we were like, "Oh,
we didn't know who the
they're
rookies
so
were.
handsome." We didn't know who the rookies are, but like, I was like, "Lee Lawson, he's so handsome." TikTok hated that. Sorry.
Remember? So we actually remember. Second straight week we mentioned Bozy on Twitter from Twitter on here.
Yeah.
Did you see that tweet or Blue Sky post he made about like there was a TikTok video of all those NASCAR pit crew members?
I did.
And they were very hot men.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the comments, I saw someone pull them up. All the comments are just ladies going like, "Oh, well, I need to be watching NASCAR now." And
hell yeah,
I watched that video a few times for educational
research.
Purposes. Research. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Research. I couldn't find the word. Woo! I didn't. Yeah. NASCAR's a great sport. I love it. Yeah. NASCAR is such a great sport. I have something really excited to share with you guys, and I already announced it on Twitter, but I'm running a special little car on iRacing this week in the NASCAR iRacing series in honor of March 31st is International Transgender Day of Visibility. Is it showing up on the screen?
Yep.
Oh, there it is. Okay, my computer was just lagging. This is not how I want the graphic to show. There we are. So I took my normal little gay racing podcast Ford Mustang. I gave it the trans flag colors, added a little. I made that logo. Trans rights are human rights, and I'll be running it this week on iRacing at Martinsville. So I'm going to probably get wrecked 20 times, but it'll be okay. It won't be. It won't be because of the car. It's going to be because it's Martinsville. But. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with iRacing paint schemes this year, and I obviously wanted to honor Trans Day of Visibility. It's a day, there's people that can't afford to be visible trans because of their life situation, and it's kind of a day to honor, stuff like that and people who are visible. So yeah, I think it's just a nod from me personally to our trans community, and yeah, I just wanted y'all to see it.
And if you don't follow Zack on like Blue Sky or Twitter, he does these cool graphics. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. These like just like race ahead kind of graphics, and they're always so cool. And Zack, you've been making some awesome paint schemes. You may have even IndyCar livery. And people can drive the gay racing podcast cars that you've made, right?
Yeah, if you go on Trading Paints and literally if you just look up gay racing podcast, you'll find my profile. You'll find everything. So I've made stock cars, formula cars, some sports cars. I got to update some with the new logo. I'm still working on that. But yeah, it's been having this little paint scheme project with the NASCAR iRacing series, because I made a whole paint scheme schedule for myself. Our good friend Jackson Todd is doing like a part-time schedule with Dreamy Zack Design. So I'm designing some of his paint schemes too. I need to get my Instagram like more up to date and actually like active. It's just I just prefer to post everything on my Twitter. It's just easier. I already have a following there. I don't know. Should I make a design Twitter or Blue Sky, or I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't want to have any more accounts. I'm kind of over it.
Yeah, you do have a lot of accounts though.
I like having one on Instagram because it's picture focused, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I will say, Zack, I love seeing how passionate you are about making these schemes and everything.
It's fun.
And I think this Trans Day of Visibility car, it looks so good, and it's just really cool. It's a good message as well.
I have another paint scheme to show off next week. It'll be Throwback Weekend.
Ooh, I saw it earlier. It looks good.
I'm excited. I'm making one for Jackson Todd too, and we got to get Davin back on it, or somebody to talk about the paint schemes.
Yeah, we need to talk about the throwback schemes when they all
Davin, if you're listening, hit me up.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, Zach, let's get into fantasy. It was a birthday boy sweep for you. It was your birthday, and you won both IndyCar and NASCAR fantasy.
Whew.
I'm happy for you.
I had a great weekend. Thank you. I looked up the last time one of us swept the weekend. I had a hard time finding, because I'm not very up to date on our IndyCar records before I think 2023. So I had a hard time trying to find if you've swept the weekend. I feel like you have swept the weekend before.
I'm sure I have. I feel like I have at some point.
It's a rare feat. I think this is only the second time I've done it. Again, I did it 2023, the Gateway in Detroit.
Zach,
weekend. What?
You swept the weekend when Kyle Larson couldn't.
I know, right? Thank you. But to be fair, we both I had one less race. We both still won 2 races. So
true.
If we did F1 picks, but no.
No. we did that our first year of this. Hell no.
There would be a way to do it. We have to do it very differently, but no, screw F1.
Yeah.
IndyCar's off. We're going to Martinsville. You do not have the points lead. I have a pretty hefty points lead right now, so you get to pick first. I'm interested to see who you're going to pick.
You're going to think I'm stupid.
You're going to pick Ryan Blaney again, aren't you?
I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney.
This man is so mentally ill. He's like, I'm going to keep picking. Stick with the Blaney. Stick with the Blaney.
Yeah. Stick with the Blaney. Stick with YRB. Listen. Phoenix was a really good track for him. Didn't go well. Homestead, he had the best car. He should have won that race. Engine blows up. Okay. Martinsville is probably his best track. Sure, maybe specifically in the fall. I don't care. I'm going with Ryan Blaney. I'm sticking with YRB.
Okay. Okay. That's all.
It's not even because he's my favorite driver. I genuinely think he's going to win at any point.
I know. He's just got to have a weekend where nothing goes wrong, which that could be Martinsville. Yep. I have 2 people I can't pick from. I've alluded to picking Josh Berry before for this race. I will pick Josh Berry for this race officially. Okay. I'm going to pick Josh Berry for this race. I think he'll get a second win. He's good at Martinsville. Penske's good. He'll be good.
When you said that Josh Berry would win on a short track in our preseason episode, were you thinking Martinsville?
I was thinking spring Martinsville.
Okay.
I mean, he was good here last year, wasn't he? Or he was really good at Richmond. He was really good at Richmond last year. I don't remember if he was that good at Martinsville last year, but I don't care.
You also said Ryan Prix would win on a short track. Were you considering him?
No, I was considering Chase Elliott.
Okay.
He was so good at the Clash. He's been consistently just good at Martinsville.
That's a good pick, Elliott, yeah.
The problem with Elliott, again, is he just hasn't been winning a lot of races lately, but Martinsville has been one of his best tracks lately, even when he hasn't been winning races. Like, he could have, he was in contention to win both races last year. I mean, he finished top 3, I believe, in both races last year. So, yeah, I consider Chase Elliott. This Josh Berry pick, I think, is a bit risky to me because, well, I don't know. He's been running really good this year.
He's been running really good.
So I think that is a pretty good pick then.
I think Berry is a solid top 10, to be honest.
Yeah, at least after Blaney has his mechanical issue. So
stop.
I will stop when he stops having mechanical issues.
You're so mean to me. Anyway,
I'm not doing anything except stating the facts. And the fact is, Ryan Blaney cannot finish a damn race.
Well, if you're not aware, Zach has a 6-point lead already. You have 8 points. I have 2.
Don't worry. It's a high scoring season. You're going to get some wins, and you might get one this weekend. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan's gonna dominate again and actually pull it off this time. Anyway, let's wrap up. Kind comment from our friend Dylan McCollum and one of our Patreon subscribers. Y'all's humor and banter back and forth is hilarious and contagious. That whole final segment from last week's episode was amazing. Wonderful episode as always, Kings. P.S. The fits are great. I was wearing a cute button-up shirt last week.
The hell was I wearing?
I think you were wearing a Porsche Penske shirt.
I was. Yeah, I need to wear more cute shirts, but I didn't work today, so.
Yeah.
I wasn't wearing a nice shirt to begin with.
Thank you to our Patreon subscribers. If you want to be part of the Patreon mailbag segments where we're saying like, this Patreon member said this. You can join in at patreon.com/gayracingpod. If you'd like, you can rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll read the written 5-star Apple reviews. Consider liking and subscribing here on YouTube. And follow us on social media at Gay Racing Pod on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. You can follow me on Blue Sky at Newgaden, and Zack is on Twitter and Blue Sky at Dreamy Zack Racing.
Yeah, next week we're talking about Martinsville, and that's it. That's it?
That's it. Hour on the dot.
Oh, okay. There's no more racing to talk about next weekend. Just Martinsville.
Why are you sad?
It better be a good race. It was pretty good last time, so I don't know.
Hopefully they have a good tire compound. I don't know which one they're running. I'm assuming they're running the one they had in the fall.
I assume all the black rubber that we're going to see. All right. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.